I'm sure Max Verstappen will be hoping for some wet weather today. Certainly see some interesting overtakes from the Red Bull driver if that's the case. Rookie Lance Stroll landed himself a seat in Williams this season after Bottas has switched to Mercedes. This year we see the introduction of the somewhat controversial team weekly in Charlotte, which is designed to increase downforce and grip, along with the introduction of wider tyres, which is a very interesting race. This year will mark the Australian Grand Prix 4th year.
And we are back from our ad break. Hello everybody, welcome back to Season 10, the first race of the season here in Australia. We've got an all-dry qualifying and an all-dry race. Just in case you are joining us for the first time, my name is Jamie Mayers, and my commentary partner, who was a very, very, very fast driver last season, is going to arguably
yeah.
Captain Egos.
Yeah. Well, I say the fastest, second fastest mostly, but Sean couldn't convert that pace into wins. So yes, we'll just go with the best that has ever existed over a 13 race period.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Really looking forward to seeing if we can get this one right. I'm sure Guy has had a slap on the wrist for his poor lobby settings, and my god, there are a lot of cars all in very close proximity in the third sector coming around to start their laps.
Yeah, I believe again Mr. Fanta Fruit Twist is the first man to start a lap.
Brave.
So, welcome to the first lap of Season 10. We're going to ride this on board with him. Through turn 4, taking some nice curve there. Very nice and tidy lap so far. Probably not the fastest. Oh, he's got a bit out of shape there in the chicane.
Took a lot of curb on the inside, put the car off balance.
Oh, and he's got some traffic, and it looks like he's backed off of this one. Yes, he has indeed backed off of this one, so we're going to try and find somebody else. Where are all the fast men?
We've got Mikey coming into turns 9 and 10, doing a lot better than Troy just did. He's probably got to be one of the favourites for pole this evening.
I'd say, look at the speed and commitment he took through there.
A little bit of a wiggle on exit.
Down what would be a third DRS straight if this was 2018, which it isn't. Good turn in there, not running too wide into the penultimate corner. I think his teammate's in front of him. Only abandoned the lap, so he must have had a corner cut somewhere. Drew goes fastest temporarily on a 22.6. But cars slowing down in the third sector, so hopefully they don't block anybody. Where's Sean? Sean's quite early into the lap still.
Got Mitchell coming through turn 12. Not getting the best line through there, but carrying a decent enough amount of speed down to turn 13. Fairly late braking zone, 4th gear. He's lost the rear a little bit on exit, it won't cost him too much, flicks it down into 5th. Get on the power as early as possible and be a brake as late as you dare. The turn 15, open it up, get the steering as straight as possible, maximise the traction out of 16 and onto the straight. This should probably go pole, and it does. It's a 21.895 or 94 because Codemasters can't make their mind up. but
that's a very good lap.
Solid enough, but shouldn't be troubling front two rows, I wouldn't imagine.
Meanwhile, Tom, sorry to interrupt, Tom has spun it on the exit of the far chicanes, damaged his front wing as he gets underway again. I can only assume that was his in lap because he's already done a 23.5. Kaz goes fastest on 21.3, a very impressive lap. Mikey's just come out of the pits. Sean, I'm guessing, had to abandon his lap for corner cutting because he's run out of fuel and he hasn't set a lap time. So obviously he didn't learn from last season.
Harry coming up to the line, goes P3 on a 21.9. He's pretty confident about his season's aspirations. He'd like to think he'd be in a title fight. Didn't place in the top 3 drivers at all last season, so I'll be interested to see where he makes an improvement this time around, but a solid opening gambit from him.
Yep, everybody else is sort of on an in lap or an out lap at the moment. We've got Gattis across the line. Where is he going to go? He goes up to P4, 22.5. Decent lap. One
driver that's going to have to make the transition to a fully no racing line. I have a feeling he may have ran it at times last season, but that's going to be a hindrance, of course. New regulations coming in for this season completely banning the use of racing line. People like Gattis, Tom will probably feel that the most.
Yeah, I know Tom got a lot of stick last season for running the racing line. Hopefully he can prove some of his doubters wrong, because like I said, he did get a lot of abuse for running the line.
Well, if he's got the pace without it, if he's got the pace with it, there's no reason why he can't sort of have the pace without it, really. Harry made a good transition on the last game and is now pretty quick without it, so it just takes a bit of patience, I think.
Yeah, it does. Mikey's on a lap, so I'm going to watch him. And if you can join us on board, Michael, talk us through a lap of Albert Park.
Yep, so he's coming down to turns 9 and 10 here. Want to be braking just where the wall ends. He's absolutely run out a little bit too wide. Got on the green stuff, that's not going to help his traction or his pace on the run down to 11 and 12, two of the best corners on this track. Quick shift down into 7th, hold it as flat as possible, but with much pace heading down into this twisty final sector. Again, late on the brakes, down into 4th. Early on the power, it's what it's all about in these final few corners. Early on the power out of here in 5th. Hard on the brakes, he might flick it down to 2nd for a bit of extra turning, he does. And straighten the car up, get flat as quickly as possible. My internet has gone to absolute rack and ruin.
So has mine. I don't think that's ours, I think that's Mikey's as he goes fastest.
21.1.
Fantastic lap. Yeah. Lag included.
Yeah, BT have not sorted themselves out, it seems, but he's happy enough with that and retires from the session with a 21.1.
He needs to get that sorted ASAP.
Yeah, that could be an interesting turn 1 if he ends up anywhere near the front.
Who else are we looking for? Where is Sean? Sean's still in the pit, so he's going to be a one lap wonder. Or he's going to try to be.
He's relied on that way too much in the past. Qualifying so important. This league can catch you out if you don't quite get qualifying together and get stuck in the Armageddon section. It can be race over. Trouble will find you. So anyone who qualifies, consistently in the top 5 will have a good shout. Meanwhile, I think that's Frederick in 5th with a 21.9. That's a very impressive lap from him.
That is, given the amount of stick that I gave him last season.
Yeah,
being completely useless.
Yeah, I don't know where that's come from. That's an impressive lap time. So we'll see where that puts him at the end of the session.
Yeah, I was going to say, he has worked very hard on the off-season. His teammates just started his hot lap. So,
and he's ended it. That's unfortunate.
Oh dear, and I missed that because I was watching something else.
Yeah, just managed to get on the grass did a bit of a Bottas, but sort of held it initially and then hit the inside wall at turn 2, which you don't see many people do. And,
yeah, I think I've only ever
around.
seen Jarno Trulli crash there back in 2003, 2. So, one of those races he spun there. But that's caused a yellow flag.
Ben goes 9th, new recruit for this season. He's trying to get better on the wheel, but doesn't currently have it, so he's back on the pad and goes P10 with a 22.7. I'm sure he's going to go for another lap to try and improve that. That's way off what he would want to be doing, and he's already messed it up at turn 4.
I was going to say, I don't know that much about it. There's a lot of new people that I don't know much about, because they've all come from AOR, and of course I haven't been on AOR now since probably 2012, 2013.
Oh, guys hit the wall on the exit of turn 4.
He has indeed, we just drove past him.
Little fact, I think that's in 17th, we've got Bohr. He was Harry's title rival in AOR Season 12 GP2. Harry ended up storming that league at the end of the season, but they do have a bit of history, so it'll be interesting to see how they compare on this game. You'd think Harry would have the advantage these days, and judging by the first laps, that seems to be reigning true.
Well, the only person we need to look for now is Sean, who's on a lap. I think he's the last man on a lap, so this is going to be either mighty or nowhere.
Harry's coming through the last corner now. He's currently P4. Can he climb above Mitchell into 3rd? Yes, he can. 21.7. A couple tenths improvement there.
Sean running a little wide there through 9 and 10. Hopefully that didn't cost him too much time. Gonna watch him through the fast chicane. A lot of curb, but hopefully he didn't corner cut it. I think Mitchell might still be on a lap somewhere, as is Kaz.
He is. They're both about to cross the line. Keep an eye out for them.
Gattis finishes his session in 10th.
Mitchell chucks it in. No improvement in 4th. Doesn't look like Kaz has improved
Kaz
either.
doesn't improve. Here comes Sean.
He's finished the lap. He's making the run to the line as short as possible.
No, he didn't get the lap in either.
It's sort of a classic Sean quali performance that he really needs to cut out.
He qualifies last. That would have been a 21.3, so that would have put him 3rd, because it was a 21.32.
Yeah, he'll be disappointed with that.
He would have been.
We saw it all too many times last season.
And I did put a lot of pressure on him in the prologue, as did Mikey. And
no, he's my season 10 champion. You know, for me, he should do it, but he cannot continue to make mistakes like this that we've seen so often. And he'll do well to come through. Difficult track to overtake. He'll have the pace, but if he gets into any sort of trouble, it's game over from there, really.
Yeah, I can't wait to see. I can't actually wait to see him come through the pack. Should be quite interesting. But of course, we've now got a dry race, whereas the last one would have been wet had the settings for the session had been well, but they weren't. So this is what we're dealt with, a nice dry race. Are we going to see carnage at turn 1? I do not know.
It depends a lot on Mikey's internet, I think. I remember last year we had Ben, or Clay, and Milos make quite a bit of contact into turns 1 and 2, which caused mayhem further back. So it's the nature of turn 1 means that it's so easy for there to be incidents. But we'll see. We've got a couple of people that I would say starting out of position. I have no idea if Frederick in P6, if that's his actual pace, whether he can carry that over to the race or not. Normally would expect him to be outside the top 10, but he's done a fantastic job with that lap. It'd be interesting to see if he can take that all the way to the checkered flag.
Well, here we go. We're going to see who is going to lead into turn 1. Away we go. Everybody all off the grid nicely. It looks like Mikey's squeezing Kaz down into turn 1. Mikey takes the lead. Everybody, I believe, gets through safely. Yeah, everybody single file at the moment. It's a run down into turn 3. We have nobody off the track. Let's see down into turn 3.
Scythe is off the track. He ran with Raymith into the gravel trap, so they've both dropped many positions.
Oh, well, that's typical for him. Unfortunately, our champion Mitchell is in the wars, down in 8th place.
His teammate's up in 4th. That's a great start for Andrew.
Yeah, back in the front though, we've got Mikey and Kaz. Well, we've got a train at the minute. Mikey, Kaz and Harry doing a pretty good job. Scythe falling down the order again. Not sure what happened, but he's been overtaken by another 3 or 4 cars. Rubbing wheels with Andrea, who's off the track. Mitchell as well, falling down the order. He might be off the track too. He's pulling over. So I'm not quite sure what's happening there. But he's just dropped down to 17th place. Maybe he was letting Scythe back through.
Potentially, yep. Yep, he seems to not have any damage that I can see. He's back up to full speed now, so that would probably be what it was.
Yeah, we've got Andrea pitting from last position with some front wing damage. And yeah, look at that, Sean up to 14th already, so he's doing a cracking job. But as we are starting our second lap, Mikey leads the first lap of season 10. And we've got Tom off the track down at turn 3. He's obviously run wide as he rejoins down in 19th position. Oh, look at this, Mitchell and Scythe side by side into turns 9 and 10. Mitchell around the outside of Scythe. I can't imagine Scythe's too happy with that.
He'll be wanting to get back as quickly as possible, but falling through 11 and 12 is difficult enough as it is. And he may be carrying some slight front wing damage, judging by the amount of time he's dropped. So that might be the case. Mitchell already on the back of Ball in 14th now.
Sean up to 12th as well, so he's having a tremendous fight through the field.
He's doing well. His former teammate as well, Jerry, was up into 8th at one point. He's the big gainer out of all this. Gained 6 positions. He's now fallen back down to 9th behind Hasnain. Harry has gets very out of shape through turn 2, loses touch with Kath and Mikey. Really lucky to hold on to that one. It would be difficult for him to get back in touch with them as well. There's a sizable gap between Harry and the top 2 in qualifying, so be interesting to see whether his race pace is better comparatively, or whether that is his race sort of done and dusted now. I'd assume he's faster than the guy behind.
Well, I hope it's not his race done and dusted, because he's been the sort of the bridesmaid in a lot of races last season. He was very, very quick, and then either had connection issues or just had an unfortunate issue where he crashed. So hopefully he's not doing that this season.
He's had many unfortunate incidents where he's crashed, unfortunately, but I think that's more down to his lack of practice that he puts in these days. I don't think he does quite as many laps in the race stint, so hopefully he'll rectify that this season if he is serious about a title challenge.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened to Scythe, but he's dropped 2.5 seconds behind Mitchell, who's going round the outside of Guy. Beautiful move. Actually, that wasn't Guy, that was Boar. I do apologise. We've got yellows in sector 3, and that's Scythe out of the race.
Binned it.
So DNF number 1. He must have dropped it off the curb. But yeah, he's going to be swearing and cursing and cussing and punching stuff in his bedroom right now. This is not how he would have wanted to have started this season off.
Meanwhile, Mitchell slides past Guy into turn 3. Fairly easy work there. Sean was right underneath Brown going into turn 1, but got his nose chopped I mean, he had no right to be there really. Brown asserting his dominance, and Sean will maintain 12th now. As Harry has fallen down to
Harry's
6th.
fallen down the order and is out of the
in
race. That's down at turns 9 and 10. We literally just mentioned that. Wonder what happened because the car's still trying to drive.
I can't work out if he's got any wheel left or not on the front left. He's quite how he's done that. I don't know. Might have taken a bit too much of the inside curb. I mean, it's so easy to overheat the tyres on this game and not cool them down. He did have a massive moment the lap previous, so whether it was anything related to that, I don't know. Disappointment for him. That was an easy podium, really. Andrew falling back, but now, remarkably, Andrew in third position, which is not where we'd expect him to be normally.
I would be unkind if I'd said that I wouldn't expect him to be in a podium position, especially given the fact that his teammate is the current champion. But yes, I would not expect to see him on the podium, at least this early into the season. He usually comes on strong towards the mid to late part of the year, in terms of calendar.
Thankfully, this has presented us with a brilliant situation whereby our two favourites for the title are currently 11th and 12th, right next to each other on track. I would expect these two to be the top two, but they are going to lose out points to Mikey, who you'd say is the nearest competitor in this one, unless they get their act together. But remarkable to see them so far down the order.
I mean, it is a long race. I mean, Sean takes a lot of curb there. I'm surprised that didn't give him a Warner or corner cut penalty. That's how he's managed to gain onto the back of Brown. I mean, his car was completely on the wrong side of the apex curb in the chicane. But yeah, this is going to be interesting. And I don't know if you saw the race at Abu Dhabi, but Sean's defending is a little bit suspect at times, if not heavily robust.
Yeah, he showed signs of maturing throughout last season. I think he has matured a lot as he's looking at Brown. He's got to get it done
down the inside,
now.
banging wheels.
Didn't quite get the traction that he'd have wanted.
Oh, and he's put it in the wall.
Mitchell's up alongside him. He's still not got control of that car.
How on earth did he manage to keep that position?
Desperate to get out behind Brown, but he didn't quite have the traction all the way through there. I think maybe his ultra softs not quite at their peak anymore, and yeah, he did very well to avoid putting his front wing in that wall and hit it side on. He might have got away with no damage there.
Yeah, because that's very easy to just knock in a wheel off. I know many times racing on 2016 that just the slightest tap will just knock half your car off. As Sean tries again round the outside, doesn't do it, gets squeezed onto the grass. Mitchell down the inside and takes a position.
He's run wide though, and Sean's coming back at him round the outside. Mitchell just about gets the position. Opportunistic move from him there. Sean, in his desperation to get past Brown, has taken the outside. He's never entitled to any space there. Brown has control of the corner and he has shown him the door. And Sean down to 12th. It also gives Ben a breather. He's the highest soft runner in 9th. He was sort of being a little bit of a mobile chicane and backing up these guys, but he does have some space to breathe now and might get his act together.
Oh, there we go. There's our first penalty of the season going to Andrea for corner cutting. We have to get him a badge or something.
Ben's gone off, Brown's gone off at the same corner. They make the same mistake, run wide, and that allows Mitchell and Sean past Brown. Ben just about held on to it. That was a remarkable chain of events there. They just seem to both lose the car at the same corner. Mitchell and Sean gain a position out of it and are now right on the back of the Sauber.
Well, we have heard that before, that people just lose it in sympathy. We've seen it in real life, and we've seen it here.
Yeah.
So your Armageddon section pretty much looks to be the battle for 9th place. Holy crap! Brown very nearly putting himself in the wall. Here comes Guy to try and get around the outside of it. Can't quite do it. A little bit of contact on the exit, but that's fine. But,
just goes to show how easy it is to overheat those rear tyres. Once you spin them up once, they do not cool down very quickly, and it leaves you vulnerable for the rest of the lap.
Yeah, but this is well and truly our Armageddon section of the track, our battle for 9th.
Oh yeah.
Ben, Mitchell, Sean, Brown, Guy, Bohr. So basically 9th to 14th, all battling for the same sort of piece of real estate. Oh, as I say that, Bohr puts it in the wall. Got to actually try and find his actual name rather than just calling him Bohr. What is his name? Gerard.
It's Gerard. But I didn't want to scream Gerard. Otherwise, I'd think I was on the t-shirt. Right.
And he's rage quit.
Yeah. Moving on.
We do sort of frown upon that, but he is new. Is he new? I don't know. We've had so many new people that I've kind of lost track. And I don't have my nice little cheat sheet with teams and drivers on it like I did last season because I didn't have time to print it off. Kaz in the pits, so he's going for an undercut.
Go for the ultra soft. Mitchell tried to do something similar to me last season. It did give him the undercut, but I was able to stretch out and put on a super soft. I wonder if Mikey will be able to learn from that. Maybe it'll help him, I don't know. But ultra soft, super soft, usually the quickest way around this track. So we'll see. Kaz will benefit from an undercut.
Yeah, Kaz running over the white pit exit line, but didn't get a warning or a penalty for it.
That's a blacklist, so. That is.
That is.
Get him out of the league.
Who else is in the pits? Tom is in the pits for Ferrari. Down in 15th position. They're changing his front wing as well. Sean, there we go. Sorry while I
He nearly made it 10 laps or so. That would have been impressive.
It would have been, but this is Sean we're talking about.
Yeah. Cass has actually come out in quite a bit of space here. The only concern he has is the fact that Armageddon is 3 seconds up the road from him, and there is 1 soft runner and 2 super soft runners. And the fact that
Cass might have just cost himself the race with a penalty. You better hope that Mikey gets one as well. Well, he better hope that Mikey either gets a penalty or the undercut gains him 3 seconds of lap time. In comes Mitchell into the pits. Unfortunately, his teammate is also in the pits, so hopefully Drew gets out in front. He does.
It'll be a slow start. Yeah, they're still waiting to put the tyres on. Mitchell's going to lose out there. Unfortunate.
Away he goes.
Give him the clear air.
It has indeed. That's good for him, and that calms the Armageddon section down a little bit. Mitchell down to 14th position. That's where he's come out. Got a nice clear gap, at least in the meantime. Mikey just doing his lap times, keeping it clean, not getting any penalties. Gattis in second, very good from him. Fred, oh, who's that? There's a McLaren off the road, it's Jerry. Jerry spinning off the road down in turns 9 and 10.
Running a very decent race, to be fair. And Brown's gone into the back of him, and Guy's now run off the circuit in sympathy, and that's a huge, and Cass is going to benefit hugely from this, as they're all running slowly.
Oh, Willie, because all hell is breaking loose. Mikey pits.
Yeah, it's one easy overtake on Jerry, and Brown will pit because he's got no front wing left. Cass sides up the inside, and those are 3 fairly easy overtakes. That is Christmas in a bucket for Cass. He will take that around to the next lap. And I think
here we go, but where is Mikey? Andrea, I think, has spun off. Because he's just retired. Kaz has overtaken Mikey for the lead of the race. Mikey's come out and he's in 4th place. a net fourth. It'll be a net third because, of course, Ben hasn't pitted. Neither is Guy yet.
But it'll have the super soft advantage throughout the rest of the race. Quite a long way to take them, but Mikey's notoriously good on his tyre wear, so it will be a huge defensive job from Cass now. But with that penalty, I mean, the gap's already less than 3 seconds, and Mikey very rarely gets penalties, so that could be race
massive lag, sorry. Caribbean
Yeah.
Crush just had huge lag and did a triple somersault that... Oh, and it's hit Sean!
No, he's in the wall.
And he's out of the race! Sean was the one that crashed into the back of him. I don't know if he got any damage with that.
He does, he's lost a front left end plate, so that's Sean race.
And where's Mitchell? Mitchell's off the road as well with damage.
He also has... Oh, it's all gone wrong for the championship.
It's all gone
favourite.
wrong. I'm so glad I
Remarkable.
caught that triple somersault, because I'd have to score that as a judge. It was a thing of beauty as Tom runs off the road.
And Mikey overtakes Guy down the straight. Fairly simple pass for him. He's up into third and can really hunt down Cass now.
Cass, who just set the fastest lap of the race as well.
Meanwhile, Ben is leading his first ever race department race. Yet to stop, of course, on those soft tyres. He'll be very, very enthralled by this, but it won't last.
Oh, and the harsh driver's gone off. Again, sorry to cut across you, but Luke went off at turn 2.
Oh dear.
And dropped a few places. Mitchell and Sean back in the pits, so they're both going to end up again fighting each other. Although Sean got out quite a lot ahead of Mitchell.
Yeah, he's not.
And again,
Sean's
cuts
done a
the
Cass.
exit line.
Right, Mercedes are going to get a fine for that because this is just unacceptable now. He's gained
What
way
does
too much.
Mitchell
Oh,
do? Mitchell also drives
Yeah.
across the line.
I mean, there's no need for it. It's there for a reason. It's not doing too much damage, but you'd like to think people would at least adhere to the white line.
So here we go, Kaz closing up to the back of Ben. This may be another fastest lap. It is indeed 24.9. Remember, like, as Guy pits from fourth place rather. But remember what we said with the penalty. He's got to put his foot down now, while he's got the grip on the tyres. Oh, and there's Sean with another penalty.
Full out attack for him now. He does not care about those penalties. He might go for a fastest lap, but points, they're always within reach in this league. I'm sure we'll see more incidents. And the lag is interesting. Guy may be off hosting duties fairly soon.
Wouldn't surprise me because cars are bouncing all over the place. I mean, we just saw Caribbean Crush do a triple somersault.
Cass is lining up a pass on Ben down towards turn 13. He doesn't quite have the momentum. Gatto Mikey is now flirting with the 2 second mark, so not looking good for Cass, but he'd like to dispatch.
Oh, Hasnain having a look. Oh, that's going to slow him down even more. He's going to take that position, but that's knocks 8, 9 tenths more off of the gap between them.
Yeah.
Mikey was probably hoping that Ben was going to stick in front of Kaz just a little bit longer.
Now Ben can hold up Mikey through the twisty end of sector 1 as Mikey dips onto the grass. Not sure if that was a bit of desync. Wouldn't be surprised in this lobby. But Mitchell now goes into
oh dear.
The book. It's suddenly gone downhill. It is a difficult track, lots of fast apexes, so very, very easy to overdo it slightly on corner entry. So not all that surprising. But,
yeah, not that surprising. I mean, as long as we don't reach the dizzying heights of the 41 corner cut penalties we had in Canada. Oh, and what was... Oh,
Mikey's had a go.
The
and
timing
it's-
screen went a bit weird, and there was a bit of lag, and now Mikey's back down to third. I don't know if that was legit or if that was lag. Wouldn't surprise me if it was. And Tom pits from 15th position.
This could be a retirement job. Oh no, he's actually exited the pits.
Oh,
That's,
Drew with a penalty. I know Drew prides himself on not getting corner cut penalties, but he just got one.
It doesn't matter, he's driving so consistently. Mazais can't live with him. He's got to keep an eye on Hasnain and Frederick behind. I think, you know, Andrew's going for a really good result here. Once Ben pits, he's going to have to work harder because of that penalty now, but I wouldn't bet on him getting another one, and this could be a podium start to the season for Andrew, which would be, well, magical for him. I think he's fallen out of love this game plenty of times, but performance is starting to come through for him.
Oh yeah, at one point he was offering to be my commentary partner for last season. He was so annoyed with this game, but he got back into love with it, then fell out of love with it, and then got back into love with it, and then fell out of love with it again. As Sean sets another fastest lap. Whether or not that was corner cut assisted, I don't know. But he has got the fastest lap. Here comes Mikey on Ben for second. Is he going to stick it down the inside? He does. And he's through. So now he can get to work on closing down the now 3 seconds to Kaz. Yeah, the gap's now 3 seconds. So it's teetering on the edge. Ben pits.
Cut his losses and pit early for super softs rather than drag the softs out and go for ultras. They might come out with a decent position here. Bankai, that's Luke. 11 seconds off Frederick. He may well fall out into that little hole, and 7th place would be a fairly good place to be. Nice bit of space, and yeah, that is indeed where he exits the pits. So Ben on for a decent result in this first race. It's quieting down. We've got a little train in 8th, Guy, Luke and Jerry fighting out for 8th place, but other than that, it's all starting to settle down a bit. It's such a shame that the quickest guys are sitting in 13th and 14th, not really able to do anything about it, but that's just the way the race has gone. We've seen some fairly questionable lag influence and driver error in this one as well. Plenty of those retirements, just getting a bit frustrated, a bit impatient, and we've lost a fair few people. So this game does tend to quieten down. Difficult to get close to people, etc., and not a lot of slipstream. Now it's all about watching the penalties roll in and laugh at it as Jerry sets up a move on Luke into turn 13. Mitchell with another penalty. He's in a battle with Sean to see how many penalties they can accumulate by the end of this one. Mitchell, of course, probably going for a fastest lap. Didn't get a single one of those last season on his way to the title, which is a mind-boggling stat, really, when you consider his pace. But he hasn't got much to fight for in this one yet. Sean with another penalty. I think that's 9 seconds now, so he's about halfway to what we'd normally expect. Look forward to them over the coming laps. Can't wait for him to bolt on a set of ultras and go for a fastest lap. And then probably get disqualified for it. Mazais, Gattis is starting to rope in Andrew a little bit. Gap's come down by over a second over the past couple of laps. Meanwhile, Frederick continues to put pressure on Hasnain in 5th and 6th positions. I still am so surprised at Frederick's pace in comparison to last season or what we came to expect of it. Really has put in some work, it seems, as Guy gets a penalty. The pad god. Katz runs a little bit wide there and loses about half a second to Mikey. Turn 9 and 10. Mikey looking ever so more confident in that Ferrari than he was in the Red Bull last season.
Yeah, I believe what he's found is rear grip. That he always would end the race saying, "I have none."
Yep.
Very good scrap here between Frederick and Hasnain. I've got to say, I take back everything. Well, I take back most of what I said about Frederick last season. Whether or not he can be consistent with this Son Turner pace, we shall see. I hope he does. Oh, and yeah. Tom is out of the race. He's retired because he was in the pits.
Yep.
So that's
he's had enough for the day.
Retirement. Mikey's managed to close the gap to 1.6 seconds, so that would give him the race victory. Drew 12 seconds back and falling. Gattis 4.3 seconds back. We've got the Hasnain Frederick battle for 5th. We've got Thomas in the pits. We've got Brown overtaking Luke. In comes Thomas to put on the ultra soft tyres. And yeah, Thomas is the last man on the circuit that's in the race. Of course, Thomas and Andrea aren't actually part of the race. Mitchell there in 13th. I think Luke and Sean are going to get quite intimate shortly.
Well, Ben has just closed about a 3-second gap in the space of 2 laps up to Frederick, who does run wide, and Ben on the much fresher tyres has to kill his momentum to avoid him, but definitely looking pretty racy at this point. He sees a 5th place on the horizon. Once again, another mistake from Fredericks, and now he's being put under pressure. We are starting to see some mistakes in what has been an incredibly consistent drive for him. Both have DRS on the drag down to turn 1. Is Ben going to be brave enough with the fresher rubber? He is.
Oh, they're both off.
Questionable. You've got to be well alongside to be committed to that move in turn 1 due to the
and he gave it back.
Give the position back, which is fair enough. There
good
was
man.
A little bit overly aggressive. That's good to see.
Very good drive by the pair to recognise that you got to give the place back.
Yeah.
We've got Luke in the pits to put on the ultra soft tyres. He was just passed by Sean on that lap. Sean now just 6/10 behind Brown, so that's like I said, they're about to get quite intimate. Well, I think Mitchell's close enough. What is it? Sean's got 9 seconds of penalties, so I think Mitchell's going to pass him just on the penalties alone.
Mitchell does have 1.
That's
himself.
A good point. So the gap's 6 seconds worth of penalties. So the gap's 2 seconds. If he can catch that up, he'd better hope that Brown holds Sean up somewhat.
They've both got lucky in the sense that Luke has pitted for ultra softs and so as to not to get in their way. But a very lonely race for those two. Sean trying to make the best of it. Have a little look at Brown into turn 13. But they'll get it done soon enough.
We've got Jerry in the pits from 9th. So this puts Sean in the points. He's got the DRS, and this should be an easy move. Which it is.
Violently moving over in the braking zone. If that was me who was overtaking, I'd have and a sharp intake of breath. That's not what you want to see when you're going into a braking zone. But I mean, I suppose he was entitled to do it. He had the space. But
he may have been entitled to do it, but you know, you've got to be a bit of a sportsman about these things.
Sean will be absolutely ruining his quali mistake. So important to get quali nailed. I think that was one of the things that helped me most last season. I qualified outside the top 5 twice, and that was Monaco and Austria. In both of those races, I ended up crashing and losing front wings. Definitely beneficial to be in the top 5.
Yeah,
so
you
can
did have a
avoid
couple of shockers last season, didn't you?
When it rained, it poured. But so long as you nail qualifying, you should be around guys that are fairly closely matched on pace. As Ben is having another go on Frederick into turn 3 this time.
Oh, and he's locked up. Nice try, but in the words of Top Gear, ambitious but rubbish. He's now dropped 1.2 seconds behind now. Oh, Mikey has just cost himself the race with a 3-second penalty.
Alternatively, we now have a race on our hands. It is a race for position, and the gap is 1 second. So it has just got a little bit more exciting up front. And no disrespect to Mikey, but I am quite happy that now we have a full-on wheel-to-wheel on-track battle for the race win.
And it's true, he's not quite in that DRS zone just yet, so unfortunately, has he got DRS? No, he wasn't close enough. I did see 9/10 pop up at one point during that lap, but obviously not over the detection point. The race has been that gap has been a second now for the last couple of laps.
You do worry. Mikey did pit very well, a couple of laps early, I would say, for the super softs, and so having them when he needs them, which will be in the last sort of 5 laps, is going to be touch and go, because by that time, Cass's tyre wear will be at a point where his tyres will be able to match Mikey's for grip. So the advantage goes, and even though Mikey's lost about 3/10, bit of a poor turn 9 and 10 section. So as Jerry pops up with the fastest lap.
I was just going to say that I think we have reached that point now, because Mikey locked up the right front going into turn 9 and yeah, lost those 3/10. He should be able to get him back though, because he's got the pace to do so. But he's got to hope to just close up those 3/10 and then hope that the DRS does the rest.
I think it'll be difficult for him if we cast our minds back to the first stint. Cass was always within sort of 4/10 of Mikey. He wasn't letting him go. It did look as though Cass had the overall pace advantage. So if you pile that on top of the tyre difference as Sean makes another appearance in the bottom left-hand corner, get used to that. It could be very difficult for Mikey to reel in Cass now, and he seems to be struggling.
That's 12 seconds of penalty, so that's going to cost him 9th. Could cost him 11th. Well, could cost him 10th rather. But don't think it will cost him 11th. I don't think Jerry is close enough. Oh, but then again, Jerry's got a couple of penalties himself, actually. So.
Well, but he is the fastest man on the track, so...
He is. Let's see if he can keep that up, actually. That'd be quite fun.
He absolutely shaves the grass off of turn 1, but it's good to see him back. He had a poor season last season, only 7 points overall, so he'll be looking for an improvement. But definitely made a really good start to this race and drove some good laps until he got involved in that incident, unfortunately. So definitely progress for him, but that's disappointing for Frederick, who goes into the naughty book.
Yep, Frederick, who has driven a pretty stellar race so far, has just given himself a penalty. and he's got Ben all over the back of him. He's probably hoping that Ben does another dive down the inside and locks up again.
Well, luckily for him, Ben got another penalty on this lap as well, so he still actually has a 3-second advantage over Ben.
Oh, that's good. Well, I'm not saying that's good, because I mean I don't want the drivers to get penalties, of course, but and we do try to be neutral, but sometimes there is just a driver in a situation where you just think, you know what, I do hope that you actually do well, and Frederick's one of them.
Great to see. Great to see.
Shout out to Drew as well in third
Drew
place.
Yeah, he's really held off. Gattis did look as though he was closing in at one point, but Andrew has sort of stabilised that gap. And once again, he'll always deliver a consistent performance with Drew, no matter whether it's quick or slow. But he's definitely on the pace for the podium today. Got lucky, granted, with perhaps his teammate and Saif falling out of contention, Harry as well. But nonetheless, a solid drive from Andrew. Meanwhile, Mikey falls further back from Cass, who is looking good for his first win in race department, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think I'm actually starting to think that Mikey may have just taken a bite of a sensible pill and just thought, you know what, 18 points will do me just fine. I can build from here, especially when both of my championship rivals aren't going to be scoring points, because I don't believe they will be.
Well, I mean, I've been really impressed with Cass's pace. I did not think he would bring this to the table for this race, so we'll have to consider him as a definite title challenger, and all credit to him. He's made a huge improvement. Last season he always seemed to be there or thereabouts, but never quite getting his nose in front of the rest. But it has been, truly great drive from him, and he'll be the deserved winner at the end of this, so long as he can keep it between the yellow lines.
Yeah.
He's already got one penalty.
Yeah, and just looking at Kaz's results from last season, he had 4 podium positions. Highest place was second twice and 2 thirds. So this definitely will be his first race win, should of course he cross the line in the lead.
Well, yes, but the next warning he gets will be a 6-second penalty, so he's got to just bring it home. He's got to calm it down, realise that Mikey doesn't quite have the pace, and just make sure he doesn't do anything stupid. He's right on the edge in terms of penalties.
Yeah, I'm currently watching Mitchell, who is part of our only battle on the circuit at the moment. Having a look at Brown for 10th position. I can't remember how many penalties Brown has, if he's got any. I believe he does. So this will be interesting to see if Mitchell can at least start with a point this season. Definitely not the best way to defend the title, or the best start to a defence.
Yeah, the run here, I reckon. Gonna have to be brave on the brakes. Sides against it, but Brown.
Oh, he scared him off the road.
Into a mistake. Really recovers that well, though. Fantastic driving by Brown to regain the inside.
That was close.
Bit interesting that Mitchell was going to leave his nose in there, but yeah, Brown did very well to rescue that situation. I'm impressed with that.
I agree with that. We've had some very good driving from the drivers so far in this race, and we do have a pretty good depth of talent in the field, I must say, this year. So I hope to see a lot more battling like this during the rest of the season, as Mitchell gives himself another penalty. I kind of expected that one to come.
Being shown the outside of turn 13. Meanwhile, Jerry has annihilated the gap to Mitchell. It's about to drop under a second, so it'd be great if he can get involved on the last lap. But, or the second to last lap, I suppose. We've got 2 laps left, so he may be able to have some sort of an impact on that battle. But it has been
oh dear!
Ooh.
Brown put it in the wall. Coming out of the last corner. That gives Mitchell the position.
And now he has to defend with a lack of front wing there. Jerry will be smelling blood.
Yeah, he scattered the track with plenty of Williams front wing parts. So he's got Jerry behind him. We've also got the battle for 6 again hotting up as he lets Jerry go. Obviously that front wing damage is a bit too much to cope with on this as we are now on the last lap.
Yeah, Jerry's got to put his foot down though. He has 12 seconds of penalties himself as Frederick goes in the naughty book again. Ben right on his tail now, so we'll see how that plays over for
Oh, there we go. It's 15-second penalty now.
He wasn't going to disappoint, was he? Especially after our qualifying when it's unfortunately it's been the most stereotypical Sean performance. He has so much potential, so much pace. He was you know, throughout last season I really felt like he was the quickest driver going through the middle part of the season, the one that
without doubt.
But you know, silly errors like this. He had a crash in Hungary, but he just does things that you can't quite believe, and it's such a shame because it does cost him a lot of points.
Well, as we now are finishing up our final lap, we're going to follow Kaz to turn 14 into turn 15 and 16. I've got to say this has been a very impressive drive from this young man as he crosses the line to win the Australian Grand Prix, our first race of season 10. Mikey Wolford crosses the line to take second, and then we've got to wait another 16.5 seconds for the rather again impressive drive of Andrew Wood as he crosses the line to take the final podium position. Gattis crosses the line to take 4th.
Jerry spun on the last lap.
Oh dear.
Trying to, yeah, that's unfortunate. It was a yellow in sector 2. Has made a great drive there to 5th.
Oh, and look at this across the line.
Well, I don't know who had it, but on penalties, definitely Frederick takes 6th ahead of Ben, but that was a great little run.
That was a fantastic run to the line. Sean takes 9th. Mitchell surely going to kick him off that spot. No, he doesn't.
No, he had plenty of penalties himself, so your Season 9 champion and Season 9 runner-up starting with a 10th and 9th place respectively.
Oh, and if Brown didn't have that damage to his front wing, he would have passed a pair of them, but unfortunately that's not the case, and they somehow managed to survive with the penalties.
Well, plenty of penalties to keep up within that race, but no denying the winner there. Cass really always seemed comfortable throughout the race, and it turns out the undercut strategy was perfect, played into his hands beautifully, and was just too much for Mikey in the end.
Yeah, we got to say that Mikey made a bit of a mistake, maybe like he said earlier, picking a bit too early for those super softs. There's your podium. I know Andrew's going to be jumping up and down in his new play seat or whatever it is that he got towards the end of last season. And there you have it. So that's a pretty enjoyable race. Look at the penalties.
Oh dear. Jerry leaves the session in disgust. He had a really good drive, to be honest. But, Sean wins it with 15 seconds, closely followed by Ben on 12, and then Mitchell with 9. Oh, no, sorry, Jerry does pop in there along with Sebastian Vettel with 12 seconds of penalty there. Mainly the people that had issues with the penalties there.
But yeah, I've got to say I enjoyed that race. There's your winner. Cass, Mikey, Drew, Gattis, Hasnain, Frederick, Ben, Guy, Sean and Mitchell round out your top 10. Brown, Thomas, Luke, Jerry and everybody else finishes the rest of the grid. Who would your driver of the day be?
It's I'll go Frederick, based on just the sheer difference from the pace he showed last season. A very consistent drive. Definitely looked like he had a lot more pace in that car than he did at any point last season. Obviously, I think Cass would be a close second. Again, he's made huge strides from last season, so really good to see the progression of some of these drivers. But yeah, for me, I think Frederick would be my driver of the day.
Yep, I completely agree with you on that one. Like I said, I take back the majority of what I said last season. He's hopefully he can keep this up. But yeah, he's definitely my driver of the day as well. Very, very good drive from him. Very good drive from Drew. And good to see that we didn't have too many sort of carnage incidents with drivers driving into each other.
No, that was a shame. It's good to see that it was a fairly clean race, but there were plenty of drivers that took themselves out, which
Yep.
I think may have been part of the reason for that. But hopefully we'll see less driver error next time out in Bahrain, I believe.
You are correct. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to end it there. I'd like to thank you all very much for watching. I'd like to thank all the drivers that took part today. Michael, it's very good having you in the commentary box alongside me for this season. Next week, Tuesday, obviously, same time, will be the Bahrain Grand Prix. Hopefully, it will just be run the once and we won't have to restart it again. But yeah. If you do want to be a part of this league, if you've enjoyed it, obviously go ahead and go over to the race department forums and you can find us there. This race would be uploaded onto the YouTube channel later on, where all of the relevant links will be posted up in the description. But yes, thank you very much for watching, and from Michael and myself, it's goodbye until next Tuesday.